Welcome to the Shreveport Connection with Tommy. This video is on your Monday Night Raw results and, of course, birthdays and superstar spoilers. Happy birthday goes to Averno, aka Renato Cortez, turned 39. Retired Japanese wrestler Akira Tao turned 55 on Sunday. Tommaso Ciampa turned 31 on Sunday. His real name is Tommaso Whitney. Truth Martini turned 41 on Sunday. The late Hercules Fernandez was born May 7th, 1956. He died March 6, 2004 of heart disease at the age of 47. The late Owen Hart was born on May 7th, 1965. He died at the age of 34 on May 23rd, 1999 when he fell to his death while performing a stunt for WWE at the Over the Edge pay-per-view. Kevin Owens also had a birthday. He turned 32 on Saturday. MMA fighter Frank Trigg turned 44 on Saturday. He wrestled for TNA in 2008. No dark match was advertised on the Arena website for Raw event, but I'll tell you what went on after the Raw portion. WWE superstars Kevin Owens and Tyler Breeze have started their own GoFundMe campaign to benefit the victims of recent forest fires in Fort McMurray, Alberta, Canada. As you can see in this link that I'll provide for you. At this point, as Owens and Breeze started the campaign by donating $100 each with their very own money, and everyone who matches their individual donations of $100 will get a personal video message from both of them. As of this video, they have raised above $9,189 of their $30,000 goal, with 357 people in 4 hours. At Fight Owens Fight says, "Thank you all for the birthday wishes. I truly appreciate it. If you can, I'd also appreciate help with, go to the link, GoFundMe.com. NXT superstar Dana Brooke is currently backstage at Raw in Omaha, Nebraska. No word yet on whether she will debut, but normally, if they're going to send them, why not make them debut? She didn't work this past weekend's live events, so it's possible she was only brought for Raw. Brooke was out of action up until April of this year with an undisclosed injury after her feud with Asuka late last year. I'll keep you updated more as you hear the results on Raw show. Well, WWE has taped season 2 of WWE Game Night from Omaha, Nebraska. And I'll show you a picture before Raw. So if those wrestlers are not on Raw, you'll know why, because they were taping at the baseball field in Omaha. Two-man power trip wrestling podcast with Mike Bucci, real name of Simon Dean, or Supernova. Thoughts on Balls Mahoney and Axel Rotten and the lifestyle of wrestling. I like John Rexner and Brian Knight. They're Balls Mahoney and Axel Rotten's real name. I like both of them. I will say if it wasn't for the world of professional wrestling, then I would never have met either one of those guys, because very rarely, probably in the sport of wrestling, there hasn't been too many different individuals than me and those guys. If you have ever spent any time around me, I've never taken a drop of alcohol in my life. I never took marijuana, pills of any of that sort. I wasn't out of control. It didn't mess with the rats. I wasn't a party guy. I was a guy who went to bed early so I could wake up the next morning and work out. I've always believed in the business that this business has never forced, and this gets a lot of heat. And I'm sorry, but the business has never forced anyone to make a decision one way or the other when it comes to personal life choices. I am even going back to ECW when it came to violence. The chairs and tables, or whatever the heck else somebody did. Everybody did stuff willingly. I wasn't a table or chair guy, but I was there for 5 years. And I wrestled every night, and I was high-flying, innovative offense guy and took a lot of bumps and put my body through just as much wear and tear as anybody else. It's addiction that it is a real thing. It is. Addiction is real, and there are people who can't beat addiction, and I don't know if that is what happened with John's case. I don't know if the verdict is out yet. And Axel never beat his addiction, so many of his other friends passed away from addiction and drugs and abuse that I'm actually glad, and I've said this before and I'm vocal about it, that this generation of wrestlers, and the big complaint from a lot of the old timers is that all these guys do is play their video games all night and they go to bed early. Well, you know what? I'd rather have that. And in 20 years from now, I'm not reading about John Morrison or Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods and Miz and Aaron Stephen, a.k.a. Damien Sandow. I'm not reading about them ODing on drugs because they've picked up a lifestyle habit that they are still in the wrestling business. WWE has made amazing strides. They pay for rehab, they pay for the guy's health, and they have all the testing. It's not the business's fault. I'm a product of the wrestling industry. Everything I have in my life, my confidence, my success, and whatever I have managed to pull off has been because of wrestling, so I will not crap on it or poo-poo on it, in his words, because, unfortunately, people make bad choices and addiction beat them and they passed away. That sucks because they left behind families and children. The atmosphere of the ECW locker room and the perception everyone was into something. No, Stevie Richards didn't, Danny Doring didn't, and Devon didn't. There was a lot of guys who didn't. Dreamer wasn't a drug addict. It was just one of those things where, yeah, I guess some of that was prevalent in the ECW locker room. I'm not an idiot. You walk into one corner, there are guys smoking weed. Another corner, it's a bunch of guys taking pills. There are some guys in other corners doing rats, and you didn't know what the heck they were going to see or say. There, I will say this: picking the roles for BWO. Stevie wanted to be Big Stevie Cool, and Meanie almost instantly wanted to do Razor because he was a Razor Mark II. So we were tossing it around, and originally Stevie wanted me to be Virgil, and Raven said he can't be Virgil. He's got to be Hogan. There was talk that if I was going to be Hogan, then it would look like I was a leader of the NWO, BWO. But everyone thought that was BS. I tried to do it to the best of my ability. Hogan is the Godfather. I always see people trying to take pot shots and bury him, but at the end of the day, he's Hulk. And without him, there is none of this. Hulk Hogan's thoughts on his Hollywood Nova persona. It's one of the biggest regrets of my career that when we brought back the BWO for a short time in WWE, which was kind of a flop, and I don't know why we did it, and it was stupid. But we did a great American Bash pay-per-view against the Mexicos, and I'm walking around the back and have my blue and white bow and all of my Hogan stuff, and I walk into the locker room with all my crap, and there is a Hogan with all his crap on, and it was the first time it was just me and him there, and I looked at him, and he looked at me, and he said, "Nice look, brother." I said, "Hulk, I've always tried to do this with utmost respect." And he said, "I know you are, and keep working, brother." I kicked myself in the arse to this day that I didn't say hey, could I get a picture, because that would be blown up on my wall. That might actually be a wall in my house. talks about his transition into talent relations. It was okay. I was looking to get out because I didn't mind being on Raw, but when I went to SmackDown, I didn't like it as much. The guys were cool out there, with just some people that I didn't really like. Just think when you hear the usual suspects of people who were a-holes back in the day that nobody likes, I didn't like those guys either. And I was just kind of over it at that point. Jimmy was leaving to go relaunch ECW, and Vince McMahon and Johnny Ace handpicked me. They said, you've been through the system, you've been around the world, and paid your dues. Have a good eye for talent. I had my finger on all the pulse of the independents in the United States, and I knew everybody. I took a lot of pride in it. The best thing in the world was calling someone to hire them, and oppositely, the worst thing in the world was calling someone when you had to let them go. It was a different world. I had to leave Louisville to go up to Connecticut to live there, and there was so much shifting, and even thought at that point that you don't think the snakes are going to rear their ugly head. But as soon as I got into the office position, within a matter of weeks, the old wrestling BS starts, and this guy is jealous, and how did you get this job? And all the other nonsense that you would have to deal with, and it just sucked. And it lasted about a year, and then he closes out with a training with Iron Mike Sharp, breaking into ECW, meeting Raven, 20 years of the BWO, being named a legendary faction by WWE, and more. Former TNA champion EC3 made a surprise appearance at Evolve 61 in Queens over the weekend alongside the current TNA champion Drew Galloway. Galloway was wrestling WWE NXT superstar Johnny Gargano when EC3 hit the ring. EC3 then cut a promo and knocked WWE NXT, mocking his time on the original NXT. EC3 then referred to he and Galloway as two success stories that have succeeded despite the machine that is WWE. EC3 then went on to apparently knock Bill DeMott. He also talked about how he and Galloway left WWE and went on to become world champions, saying the King of Kings blew it, a reference to Triple H. The chaos was ended with EC3, or Ethan Page, arrived with a steel chair, and ran them off. Gargano challenged Galloway and EC3 to a match on the next Evolve show in Florida. It appears that they are going with TJP, such as TJ Perkins, and Gargano versus Galloway and EC3. If you're not familiar with TJP, the former Manic of TNA, well, they're going to go against Galloway and EC3, and Page versus Galloway in an anything goes match the next night. And here's a video of the angle here for you to look at, which features the beatdowns on the new WWE Cruiserweight Classic participant TJ Perkins, among others. At least 3 NXT superstars were injured at Saturday night's live event. I'll show you a picture of one of them, as Elia reportedly was reportedly knocked loopy in Orlando after being slammed into a turnbuckle by Nia Jax. Correspondent called the match the sloppiest women's match in a really long time. Well, the picture that I was showing you is of Alexa Bliss. She was knocked out and was bleeding in the nose. You couldn't see any blood from the picture. The post, the ring post was in the way. Whoever took the picture. Also injured was Murphy of the Blake and Murphy tag team. Fans at last night at Friday's NXT live event from Tulsa, Oklahoma, sent word that Murphy lost a tooth during his loss to No Way Jose. As Murphy tweeted the following, at WWE_Murphy, next time at WWE No Way Jose, and myself meet, I'll be knocking his teeth out. Hashtag NXT Tulsa. And lastly, NXT Women's Champion Asuka left Alexa Bliss drenched in her own blood after the match, but it was actually stopped, so there wasn't much of a match. As the referees put his gloves on to check on Bliss, as shown in your picture like we're talking about, Bliss had a decent amount of blood coming out, but you couldn't see from the picture. Update on Bobby the Brain Heenan. He has returned home from being in the hospital on Saturday. He took a fall last Wednesday, but was also suffering from low blood pressure. Also reported, NXT superstar Kenneth Crawford was flown out for medical attention after suffering a scary injury at Friday's NXT live event in Citrus Springs, Florida, while facing Noah Kakoa. Crawford slipped on the rope doing a springboard and landed bad in the ring. F4W Online reports that he is believed to be okay after all tests came back negative. Unknown if it's a concussion or whatever, but everything negative. BulletProofAction.com recently reviewed The Sniper Special Ops movie, which features Steven Seagal in a limited role and RVD. They wrote the following praise for RVD's role in the movie. Most improved. I have to hand it to RVD. His acting has improved greatly since his performance in Wrong Side of Town. I would chalk it up to experience and his opportunity to work with seasoned actors like Tim Abel. Van Damme plays Vasquez, Sergeant Mosby's right-hand man in Sniper Special Ops, and I love that he managed to work in his patented RVD pose at the end of the film. I wonder if he did this. Tommy Dreamer recently sat down with TSN in Canada to promote last night's, over the weekend's House Core of Hardcore 14 event. Full interview. I did not get the link. Well, here are the highlights. Comments on Ryback's recent blog on equal pay in WWE. I give him respect and props for voicing his opinion, but I look at wrestling from a regular business model. We're here in Toronto, and Jose Bautista is the big conversation. They should re-sign him. Well, he's batting about 220 right now, and he's 30-some odd years old. So maybe the Blue Jays are right in not re-signing him. It's different in that sport and based on athletic ability. However, in wrestling, it's based upon what somebody feels, and that somebody would be Vince McMahon, about how he can draw money off of you. There is a way business-wise, to say if we put everybody's shirts out there, whose shirts are they going to buy? And that's how we can make the decision. To me, if Zack Ryder is the number one shirt seller, guess what? He should be pushed. Goes on to comment as social media changing things, and WWE World Heavyweight Champion Roman Reigns. Social media has changed the face of professional wrestling. You think about 2 years ago, it changed the main event of WrestleMania. To me, the guy in WWE is Dean Ambrose. That's who the people are so well behind and could be the face of the company. There's a lot of other guys. Roman Reigns, for me, is also a great choice for where he's at because he always gets reactions. What will happen to me if you turn him heel? Then they will start cheering for him. When Reigns should turn heel? Wait until Seth Rollins comes back. That can be Reigns' big heel turn. It's funny because on social media, on Mondays and Tuesdays, when everybody is talking about it just like we are, Reigns' heel turn is a pop culture hot topic. To me, whatever happens with the current AJ Styles and Roman Reigns feud, the moment Seth Rollins comes back, Seth Rollins could be the biggest babyface WWE will have of all time. Hey, I want my title back. Roman Reigns. Guess what? He has just turned heel because no one is going to cheer him against Seth Rollins. And that's where he ended the interview there. Pre-show team of Scott Stafford, David Otunga, Corey Graves, and Booker T hosted the show from the studios and at WWE headquarters. The host hyped Charlotte versus Paige in a non-title match. and another Baron Corbin versus Dolph Ziggler match for Raw. There was a brief discussion about how Stephanie McMahon and Shane McMahon worked together last week. Stamford said that they put on a nice show. Booker said family pulled together. Graves was thankful that Stephanie was there to restore some order. AJ Styles, Carl Anderson, and Luke Gallows versus Roman Reigns and the Usos in an elimination match was announced for Raw. Sin Cara versus Rusev was also announced for Raw. And then the host played up to the mystery of where Dean Ambrose has been since he lost the talk show on last week's Raw. They also discussed his feud with Chris Jericho. Ambrose said the Ambrose Asylum was doing great in the ratings and questioned why Stephanie would cancel it. Stamford said that the highlight reel will open tonight's Raw. Stamford said that they didn't know who the guest would be, as Graves said. New Day versus the Dudleys was also announced for Raw. The host hyped the elimination match to close out the show. Ben S., Rail Pollard, and Tyler Young attended Raw event and passed along the Superstar Spoilers results. Cesaro defeated Bo Dallas with Curtis Axel in his corner. A standard match as Cesaro took Dallas out during a victory lap. Big pop for the swing. Omaha can't count. Cesaro won by submission. Cesaro ran through the crowd after the match, giving them high fives. Second match, Apollo Crews defeated Stardust. There was a big Cody chant to start the match. Stardust was thrown out of the ring. Cody chant started again. He covered his ears on the stairs. Crews won with his spin-out powerbomb. And we open up the show with Raw, looking back at last week when we got the World Heavyweight Champion Roman Reigns and the Usos taking on AJ Styles, Luke Gallows, and Carl Anderson in the main event. We're live from Omaha as Michael Coleslaw welcomes us. He's joined by JBL and Byron Saxon. And the main event, we'll see the Club take on Reigns and the Usos in a six-man elimination match. Notice they're not saying Bullet Club, just the Club. We go to the ring. Out comes Chris Jericho for another edition of the highlight reel. Jericho tells fans to shut up as he enters the ring. He says his guest was supposed to be Danny Ambrose, but Ambrose isn't here because of him. Jericho says he gave Ambrose a ruptured disc, whiplash, and other injuries last week. Jericho says Ambrose may not be in WWE for a long time because of him, but he has the next best thing. The remains of Mitch, the body plant. Fan chant for Mitch. Jericho goes on and shows some of the many hilarious tweets about Mitch. Jericho says nothing was funny about Ambrose screaming in a hospital. He goes on and says Mitch has more to WWE than Ambrose. Jericho says people relate to Ambrose because he's a slob and a loser just like the fans. Jericho says he can't relate to that because he's a legend, the superstar of all superstars. And Jericho says he doesn't care about the new era because he's going to give us what we want, the gift of Jericho. Jericho tells us to drink it all in. The music hits as the fans pop, and out comes Big Cass. Fans shout, "How you doing?" as Cass hits the ring. He tells them to shut up. Enzo Amore, that's Jericho tells them to shut up. That's Chris Jericho telling him to shut up. Enzo Amore is still out of action with a concussion. Cass says if better have a receipt with that gift so he can take it right back to the store. Cass acknowledges Jericho is one of the greatest of all time, but says Jericho doesn't understand what the new era is all about. Cass says, "We have arrived. It's a warning." He warns Jericho that he's arrived and says Jericho is standing in his way. Cass threatens to run through Jericho. Jericho tells Cass to run to the hospital and check on his buddy, and so annoying. Cass says he's not running anywhere because we stand and fight in this new era. Cass stands up to Jericho face to face. Well, actually, he's 7 foot tall, so it's not face to face. It's like head and heels over Jericho, looking down at him. And then challenging him to a fight, Jericho goes to mention how he's the best in the... Cass cuts him off and says Jericho may be the best in the world at what he does, but he's 7 foot tall, and you can't teach that. You can't teach that. Jericho asks Cass if he wants to fight and tosses the microphone down. Well, he starts taking off his jacket. But instead, he just throws it over his shoulder and leaves the ring. As the fans boo, Cass calls Jericho. He does his little S-W-F-T. Oh! And Jericho runs back to the apron. And when he gets on the apron, big boot from Cass. And Cass's music plays as Jericho stumbles to the back. We go to the announcers and they hype tonight's Raw. Paige versus Charlotte and Baron Corbin versus Dolph Ziggler will take place. Non-title match, of course, for Paige versus Charlotte. Back from the break, Jericho approaches Stephanie backstage. Says there's no respect in this new era and Shane is to blame. Jericho wants to team up with Stephanie to end Shane in a new era. Stephanie says Jericho is right. Shane does foster all this behavior and she approves of it. She books Jericho in tonight's main event against Big Cass. She does a bad, soft impression and warns Jericho to never try to drive a wedge between her and her brother again. Dolph Ziggler versus Baron Corbin. We go to the ring. Out comes Dolph Ziggler. Baron Corbin was out next. We get a sidebar video from Corbin, recorded earlier, who says he's not a part of the new era because this is his era. He says he doesn't give a damn about anyone, especially Ziggler. They go at it and they end up in a corner. Ziggler fires back and unloads, causing Corbin to retreat to the floor. Ziggler follows, but Corbin knees him in the ribs and takes over control. Corbin misses a big boot and gets hung up on the barrier outside the ring. Ziggler drop kicks Corbin into the crowd. Stalling here as Corbin makes a comeback over the barrier and Ziggler looks on from the ring. Commercial break. Back from the break and Corbin is still in control in the ring. Ziggler makes a comeback with a splash and a neck breaker. Ziggler goes on, but Corbin turns it back around with a big clubbing shot. Corbin stands over Ziggler and beats him around. Ziggler lures him in and hits a famouser for a close 2 count. Corbin blocks a zigzag and takes a deep 6 for a close 2 count. Corbin puts a boot on Ziggler's head and shows off as the fans boo. Ziggler rolls him up for a 2 count out of nowhere. Ziggler with a splash in the corner and then nails him by hands. Corbin drops him on the top turnbuckle and nails the end of days for the win. Still to come segment. Reigns and the Usos versus the Club in an elimination match. Commercial break. Back from the break, we get a look at Stephanie banning Ric Flair from ringside at Extreme Rules from last week. Charlotte Ric Flair approached Shane backstage. Rick praises Shane and they do the handshake type of thing. And Charlotte wants Shane to put Stephanie in her place in regard to Flair being banned from ringside. Shane says Stephanie's decision will stand and Charlotte needs to learn how to stand on her own 2 feet. Shane says Flair is also banned from ringside tonight. Flair can't believe Shane and Stephanie are getting along. JoJo is backstage with Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows and AJ Styles. We hear boos from the arena. Styles wants to talk about last week before tonight's elimination match. Styles says he had the chance to destroy Reigns with a steel chair, but he didn't. He took the high road. Styles says he saw what road Reigns took with the table power bomb. Then Styles says he won't hesitate to take Reigns out now. Styles says he will get the title on his own, but tonight the Club is officially back together again. They two sweet each other with a click. Bump. And they each off walk. Go to reversal. Separate ways. Fandango versus R-Truth. What's up? And back from the break, the gorgeous Truth is in the ring with Goldango. Goldust and Tyler Breeze go to ringside as the bell rings and Fandango locks up with Truth. Fandango drops Truth first and poses for boos. Truth counters and does some dancing and nails a hip toss. Truth some more dancing and some offense in the corner. Fandango does him over the top and to the floor. Fandango brings it back in the ring for a 2 count. Truth ends up getting a win after Breeze gets knocked off the apron, which Goldust was shocked. So Truth just got the pinfall. After the match, Goldust is still shocked. Two teams look on at each other as Gorgeous Truth heads up the rampway. Kevin Owens, Cesaro, and Intercontinental Champion The Miz and Maurice are backstage, arguing with Shane and Stephanie. Stephanie announces a triple threat match, triple threat for the title at Extreme Rules. Sami Zayn walks up and says the fans want to see him prove he could be a champion. He proposes a match against The Miz if he wins, which I predicted last week. And now we're getting this for Extreme Rules. A Fatal 4-Way. The match at Extreme Rules is now a Fatal 4-Way. The McMahons agree, and everyone is dismissed. Stephanie tells Shane they handled that pretty well, and she walks off as we go to commercial. Nothing more than that kind of a picture from Shane. Paige versus Charlotte was up next. Back for the break, Natalya's on commentary. Women's champion Charlotte makes her way out as Ric Flair is banned from ringside. But you know, he's the dirtiest player in the game. He's going to show up somehow. Paige was out next for this non-title match. She gets a pop. Bell rings and they lock up. Charlotte takes it to the corner. Paige counters and catches a kick, taking Charlotte down for a hold. Charlotte brags about this being her house, but Paige kicks her in the face, and she lands on the apron. They take her on the floor. Charlotte sends Paige into the apron, then runs her over. Charlotte brings it back in and unloads with kicks in the corner. The referee backs her off, and Charlotte tells him to keep his hands off of her. Charlotte drops Paige with a big boot for another 2 count. Charlotte with knees, and she keeps Paige grounded. Charlotte slams Paige to the mat and then shows off. Paige rolls her up for a 2 count out of nowhere. Paige drops Charlotte with 3 kicks. Paige with a high running knee in the corner. Paige with a running knee in the middle of the ring for a 2 count. Paige ends up ducking a big boot and nailing a kick to the face for a close 2 count. More back and forth action as Charlotte drops Paige with a big chop. Woo! Charlotte goes for a moonsault, but Paige cuts her off. Paige positions Charlotte for a superplex and then headbutts her. Paige nails the superplex for a close 2 count. Charlotte with a roll up for a 2. Charlotte countered the pin attempt with 1 of her own. Paige nailed Charlotte and tried to get the PTO locked in, but Charlotte got to the bottom rope. Paige unloaded in the corner and is pulled off by the referee. She comes back and Charlotte sends her face first into turnbuckles. Natalya gets on the apron and distracts Charlotte. But as Charlotte tries to steal a pin, Paige takes advantage of the distraction and hits a fall-away slam for a 2 count. Ric Flair comes down to ringside and starts yelling at Natalya. Charlotte takes advantage of the distracted Paige and hits a backbreaker. Shane McMahon's music hits, and here he comes. He brings a bunch of referees with him, and they escort Rick to the back, but he's not happy. Charlotte looks on, and Paige rolls her up from behind for the pin. After the match, Charlotte sits up and looks concerned as Natalya stares at her from ringside, laughing somewhat. We go to replay. Charlotte clutches her title, almost like crying, and Natalya looks on from the floor. We get a look back at Jericho and Big Cass from earlier, and their little stitch. Still to come segment, Cass versus Jericho in the main event. Also, Reigns and Uso versus the Club. Back to commercial. Next up, we get The Miz versus Sami Zayn. Stipulation in this match: if Sami wins, it's now a fatal 4-way. Back from the break, out comes Sami to a pop. The red carpet rolls out as Maurice and Intercontinental Champion The Miz come out for a non-title match. Again, the stipulations. Fans start the match with Ole chants. Sami goes for a quick roll-up early on. Lots of back and forth to start the match. Sami ends up sending Miz to the floor for a breather. Sami runs the ropes for a dive, but Maurice pulls Miz to safety as fans boo. Sami goes to the floor and hits a moonsault for the barrier. Sami goes back in the ring while Miz is down on the floor. Fans chant for Sami. Sami goes back out and tosses Miz into the barricade. Sami launches Miz into the opposite side and gets another pop. Sami drops Miz on the top of the barrier. Maurice comes over and runs her mouth to Sami as we go to commercial. Back for the break. Sami unloads in the corner, but gets dropped to the floor and into the steel steps. We see Kevin Owens looking on backstage. Sami holds his jaw as the referees count. We see Cesaro also watching from another monitor backstage. Sami comes back in, but Miz drops him with a big kick to the face for a 2 count. Miz stomps away in the corner now. Miz keeps control and nails the axe handle off the top rope. Sammy blocks the skull-crushing finale, but Miz hits a DDT. Miz gets frustrated after pin attempts. Fans chant for Sammy as Maurice cheers Miz on. Sammy blocks a figure 4 and hits the Michinoku driver for a 2 count. Sammy slams Miz and goes for the top. Goes up top as a crowd cheering for Sammy. Sammy is forced to land on his feet and rolls through after Miz moves out of the way. Miz kicks the knee out and applies a figure 4. Sammy finally makes it to the bottom rope to break the hold. Miz stomps on him. Miz ends up trying to cheat, but by using the rope for leverage on the pin, Miz argues with the referee as Sammy recovers. Sammy catches Miz in the corner, hits an exploder suplex into the turnbuckles. Sammy hits a hell of a kick for the win and to gain the spot at Extreme Rules in a Fatal 4-Way. Renee Young backstage with Becky Lynch, but they're interrupted by Emma. Emma knocks Becky and tells her to watch her back as Dana Brooke attacks. Here as Dana Brooke, gorgeous looking blonde, as she makes her debut. Emma and Dana are now together on the main roster and issue a warning to Becky. We go to commercial, and the way it looks like they have made a match for SmackDown. Back for the break, and we get the Bob Backlund and Darren Young victory from SmackDown from last week. Coleslaw leads us up to an up, down, down video with Aubrey Woods, Dolph Ziggler, Sasha Banks, and Big E, along with Kofi Kingston, that ends up being a Pizza Hut commercial. Zack Ryder's backstage talking to Shane. Ryder says that WrestleMania 32 proved that he could be a player here. Shane thanks Ryder, but they're interrupted by Kevin Owens. Owens isn't happy about Sammy getting a title shot at Extreme Rules. Ryder says he should be in the Fatal 4-Way at Extreme Rules, not Owens. They have words that Shane makes Ryder versus Owens tonight. If Ryder wins, he's in and Owens is out. Roman Reigns is backstage talking to the Usos as fans are in the arena booing. Tom Phillips walks in for their thoughts on tonight's 6-man match. Reigns says it's about the two things, representing their bloodline to the fullest and getting a win over the club. Next match, we got Sin Cara versus Rusev. At ringside, his Sin Cara's tag team partner, Kalisto. Back from a commercial break, we got to look back at Kalisto taking out Rusev on SmackDown. Lana is in the ring. She introduces Rusev as our next U.S. champion. And out he comes. Rusev has words with Kalisto as the bell hits. Rusev takes Sin Cara to the corner with a big knee and beats him down. Rusev with some more trash talking to Kalisto. And a big clothesline to Sin Cara. More trash talking to Kalisto. Rusev with a big slam. Rusev paces around the ring and stares at Kalisto as fans chant for Lana. Another big slam from Rusev. Rusev with a bear hug in the front, right in front of Kalisto. Rusev nails a fallaway slam on Sin Cara, still staring at Kalisto. Rusev with a 2 count. Sin Cara ends up hitting a DDT from the corner. Sin Cara with a kick and a chop. Sin Cara with a springboard crossbody. As Sin Cara springboards back in, Rusev catches him. More back and forth as Sin Cara nails a moonsault from the second rope. Rusev goes to the floor for a breather, but Sin Cara nails a big dive. Fans do the lucha, 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 lucha chant. And Sin Cara brings it back in. He misses a senton, rolls through, and gets dropped by a big boot. Rusev taunts Kalisto, who jumps on the apron and back down. Lana gets on the other side of the ring to distract the referee. And Kalisto nails a kick on Rusev as he charges, allowing Sin Cara to steal the win. After the match, Lucha Dragons head up the ramp as Lana and Rusev throw a fit in the ring. We go to replays. We come back to Rusev throwing the steel steps at ringside. Still to come segment, The Family versus the Club in 6-man elimination action. Back to commercial. And we get that match, the elimination match. AJ Styles, Luke Gallows, and Carl Anderson versus the Usos and Roman Reigns. Back from the break, out comes Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. AJ was out next. He joins them and they head to the ring together. Out next comes the Usos. And then finally, to round it out, Roman Reigns to booze. Anderson starts off with Jey Uso as they work him over. Crowd seems hot to start. Uso nails a drop kick and takes Anderson to the corner. Reigns tags in and launches Jey into Anderson with a shoulder thrust. Jimmy Uso follows up, and then Reigns nails a clothesline on Anderson. Jimmy covers for a 2 count as Anderson pushes him back in the corner and turns it around with a kick to the face. Gallows tags in and charges with a big splash. Styles tags in and charges with a big right hand in the corner. Styles with another shot and tags Anderson. Anderson power slams Uso and works him over. Anderson takes a shot at Reigns on the apron. Anderson exposes his knee, but misses a knee drop on Uso. Jey tags in and unloads. He nails Gallows on the apron and goes back to work on Anderson. Anderson dodges the Samoa drop, but gets rolled up for a 2 count. Gallows nails Uso while the referee isn't looking. Anderson pins Jey Uso, and he's eliminated. Jey goes back to the locker room, and Reigns comes in. Styles comes in for his team, but Gallows talks him out, and he comes. Reigns rocks Gallows and nails Anderson. He knocks AJ off the apron with a big right hand. Uso tags in while Reigns nails Gallows. Uso with a crossbody and a 2 count. Uso unloads on Gallows and hits an enziguri. Uso with a Rikishi splash in the corner. Uso hits Anderson, but turns around to a big boot from Gallows. Anderson tags in and he talks trash. Uso rolls him up for the pin. Anderson is eliminated. Back for the commercial break, and Jimmy Uso was eliminated during the commercial. We see a replay of Styles hitting a phenomenal forearm to get the pin on Uso. Styles and Gallows take turns on Reigns now. Reigns fights back on Gallows and nails a Superman punch for the pin. Gallows is eliminated. So we're down to Styles for his team versus Reigns and Uso. Styles attacks Reigns and beats him up. Styles hits a Pele kick and sends Reigns to the floor. Styles leaps to the floor and nails a big right hand. Styles takes apart the announce table and the fans cheer. Reigns recovers and launches Styles over to the announce table. Reigns waits for the Styles to get up behind the table. Gallows and Anderson appear from the barrier with a steel chair and nails Reigns for the disqualification. So winner, Roman Reigns and Uso. Well, one of the Uso, that's right. So it's just Roman Reigns. Gallows and Anderson still have the chair, but Usos attack them for the save. Gallows, Anderson, and the Usos end up in the ring as Gallows and Anderson send the Usos to the back. Reigns comes in and hits a spear on both men. Styles drops Reigns with a kick. Styles goes for Styles Clash on the chair, but Reigns jumps him over to the apron. Styles stands up on the apron and Reigns stares him down. Reigns picks up the chair and drops in front of AJ. Fan chant for both Styles and Reigns. Styles kicks the chair back to Reigns. Reigns picks it up, and Styles springboards in, but Reigns ducks it. Styles goes out to the other side of the ring and talks trash from the floor as Reigns stands tall in the ring with a chair. Reigns raises the title in the air as well as Styles looks on. They aired the victory from the Colognes earlier in the day. Back to commercial. Back for the break. We get to look back at what just happened in the elimination match. Kevin Owens versus Zack Ryder. I say squash match. Zack was out first for the match. If Ryder wins, he replaces Owens in a fatal 4-way match. Owens was out next. Owens took control early on and applied a headlock, claiming it to be the best. Owens talked trash, mocked Ryder, and kept control. Owens goes to the floor for a powerbomb, but gets backdropped. They come back in and trade offense. Owens misses a corner cannonball. Ryder goes for the broski boot, but Owens rolls to the floor to avoid the kick. Ryder follows and beats Owens down against the barrier. Ryder brings it back in the ring and goes up top. Ryder hits the big elbow drop, but Owens barely kicks out. Owens blocks the Rough Rider, drops him on the top rope, and nails a super kick. Owens then nails a pop-up powerbomb for the win. After the match, Owens goes to ringside to yell at the announcers. Coleslaw shows us Enzo Amore's injury from Payback and says he's recovering from a concussion. Renee is backstage with Big Cass for his comments on tonight's main event. Cass says it's the biggest match of his career and he dedicated it to Enzo. Cass says he's doing this for the both of them since Enzo's on the shelf. Back for the break, we get a video from Freddie Prinze Jr., who plugs the new First Impressions show on USA Network. He gets a New Day Rocks chant going. The chant continues as the WWE Tag Team Champions, the New Day, make their way to the ring. We get a sidebar video from earlier in the day with the Wild Villains promising to take the titles at Extreme Rules and take things back to a bygone era where success was earned and champions were respected. Kofi Kingston spoke first and brings up the match against Simon Gotch and Aiden English at Extreme Rules. Xavier says that they will be using the extreme power of Booty-O in this match. They all worship the Booty-O and hail to the booty. Big E gets another New Day Rocks chant going until the pyro goes off and out comes Bubba Ray Dudley and Devon Dudley. So that tag team match is up next. Dudley boys make their way to the ring for non-title action. Commercial break again. Back from the break. Bubba has taken control of Kofi. Big E finally comes in and turns it around as Woods looks on from the floor. Kofi comes back in, but Bubba counters and tags in Devon. Devon keeps Kofi grounded, but Big E comes back in and they double team Devon. Bubba ends up running in, but Big E hits the belly to belly. Big E begins the Unicorn Stampede on Devon in the corner. Big E then launches Kofi in the corner and then dances as Woods plays Francesca to the trombone. While Villains attack, Woods and Big E at ringside, leading to Devon getting the pin on Kofi with a clothesline. After the match, Gotch and English hit the ring to beat Kofi down. They hit him with a whirling dervish and say this is what men do. They leave the ring with Kofi laid out. Kofi and Big E come in to check on Xavier and Big E come in to check on Kofi. Still to come epic. Big Cass in the main event as against Chris Jericho. Back to commercial. And that matchup is next. We go to the ring. Out comes Big Cass. Chris Jericho is out next as the lights go out. We see something happening on the stage, but only see the lights of Chris Jericho's jacket moving around. But it looks like he's getting beat up. We see someone wearing the jacket to come to the ring, and it's Dean Ambrose. Jericho is down on the stage, yelling at Ambrose. Jericho begs Ambrose to take it easy on the jacket. He comes down to save it, but gets beat up. Jericho gets a right to the eyes and drops Ambrose. He leaves the ring but bumps into Big Cass on the floor. Cass manhandles him and tosses him in the ring to a dirty deeds from Ambrose. Ambrose tears up the jacket some more and tosses it as Jericho looks on. Ambrose music hits and we go to backstage to Shane and Stephanie watching. Shane says he doesn't know where her new attitude is coming from, but it's welcome. He says they did well tonight. She thanked him for giving her a shot. She jokes that maybe they can star on the next episode of WWE Ride Along, and they agree that they would be taking it too far. Shane leaves. Stephanie stops and stares at the photo of Vince and Shane that she had fixed. She seems hesitant about everything now. We go back to the arena as Ambrose looks on from the stage and Jericho throws a fit in the ring. We get another replay of Ambrose destroying Jericho's $15,000 jacket. After Raw went off the air, Chris Jericho continued to cry over his destroyed $15,000 jacket. Jericho played to the crowd for encouraging Dean Ambrose and started ripping on the city. This led to Jericho calling Ambrose back to the ring to apologize to him. There was a bit where Jericho threatened Ambrose with the police, but Ambrose wasn't worried. Ambrose ended up apologizing after and offering a handshake. Jericho fell for it. He got the stupid idiot and laid out with dirty deeds. He got called a stupid idiot. Ambrose dropped a Ric Flair elbow on the jacket to end the show and send everyone home happy. Speaking of the $15,000 jacket, Jericho posted the following after all on Twitter. I will have my revenge, Ambrose, and I haven't forgot about your dumbass either. At Big Cass WWE, at WWE, hashtag WWE Omaha, hashtag my $15,000 jacket. I'll show you the link. Go to the picture of the destroyed jacket. It's Instagram.com/Chris Jericho Posse. And that concludes my video for this week. So stay tuned for SmackDown spoilers and main event coming up next in your next video. And if you don't know, just call me bro and sisters.